Welcome to the Adriatic coast of Italy for the third round of the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup, to be held this weekend at the Misano World Circuit. Last time out at Brands Hatch it was very tight at the front, but Fred Vervisch got a fantastic start from the front of the grid, chased by Raffaele Marciello. But look, the Mercedes driver got it very wrong going through Paddock Hill Bend into the gravel, and luckily back onto the circuit. And with a packed field of cars, there's often trouble at Druids. This time, unfortunately for Team Parker Racing, both of its Bentleys were taken out in a chain reaction. This is the view as seen from Will Stevens' Audi, and it certainly was very, very busy indeed at the top of the hill. Up front, though, it was all very tidy indeed as Fred Vervisch led on the full Grand Prix loop. Fantastic stretch of circuit. Mirko Bortolotti having to be very defensive indeed. Push hard out front, though, it was Vervisch doing his all to keep Christopher Mies behind him. It certainly was very tight indeed. Sometimes a little bit loose over the curves on the tricky Grand Prix loop. Of the front runners, Christopher Mies was the first to blink, and the pit stop wasn't quite as sharp as normal from the Team WRT crew. Teammate Vervisch came in from the lead. Very spectacular departure, and it turns out this was just marginally faster. As you'll see when he returns to the track, he's just in front, but Mies has already got a lap's heat into his tyres. Made a bid as they ran up to Druids, but it was all covered off. The 17 Audi stayed at the front of the race. Coming into the pits, the Marciello got a little bit too tight, clipped the pit wall. That certainly didn't help. Very tight behind, and Loris Hazeman's Lamborghini being pushed a little wide, and going wide was the order of the day. Car in second place, that number 1 Audi pushing so hard, with Riberas trying everything using a lot of track. The Pro-Am battle is super tight as well. But up front though, Leonard built on the lead he was given by Fred Vervisch, and that was good enough to take the victory. Home victory for Leonard, great delight, and a 1-2 from WRT Audi team. So plenty of smiles all around. The racing is never over until the checkered flag, and the 63 Lamborghini was pushing so hard, had to make do with 5th place. It was all Audis though, up on the podium. Alex Riberas and Christopher Mies, they come to Misano World Circuit with 2 second places under their belt, but they're desperate to take that first win of the year, and they really look a very, very strong pairing indeed. They also took a 3rd place in the opening round at Zolder, so they're very much one of the form teams.
I'm feeling very comfortable, and with the team, very confident with my teammate, with Chris. I feel like we've done great so far in the Blancpain sprint. Obviously, in our last Blancpain endurance round, wasn't that good. We had this technical issue, but you know, the entire team kept together. We have a very good team spirit, and I feel like our momentum is still there, and we're gonna go for it this weekend in Misano and try to have a good one.
New to the Blancpain Sprint Cup in 2018 is the Lexus RCF, presented by Emil Frey Lexus Racing. Being new to the championship, they're also new to the Misano World Circuit, so there is plenty to learn for its pair of drivers, Christian Klein and Albert Costa, as they look to make the RCF as competitive as possible.
It's a new track for Lexus. It's a new track for me and Christian. I already did 7 laps under the rain with the Jaguar at the beginning of the season. But yeah, we start from 0. It's going to be difficult also because today it looks like it's going to be raining and tomorrow it's dry. So theoretically we go straight away to qualifying on the slick tires, where we're gonna train on the rain. So it's going to be a smart weekend for us. But yeah, positive because the car looks fast, but we will see.
Lamborghinis are always immensely popular on home ground in Italy, so this weekend extra pressure on the shoulders of Ezequiel Perez Companc and his teammate Andrea Caldarelli, looking to shine on Italian soil.
Well, actually, I don't race here since 8 years, so I can say it's my home track, but I don't remember really well. But I'm really happy to be here because I really like this track. I think it's going to be a really tough race for us. It was in the last race, but we found something really nice in terms of setup in the last few races, so I'm pretty confident about the race result.
In the Pro-Am category, it's been a fantastic season so far for the TP12 Kessel Racing Ferrari, with Carlo Van Dam and Piti Bhirombhakdi picking up 3 wins out of the 4 races so far. They really are in the hunt as they arrive here at Misano. Let's see what the Thai driver can manage as he continues his pursuit of glory.
After the first race this year, I think we have a lot of confidence. My driving, my teammate driving, and everything have been improved from last year a lot. And I think we are in the good pace and in good level of keeping the leading. And I think we're going to do well on this race.
The green and orange 63 Lamborghini from the Grassa Racing team won the opening race of the championship. Zolder in the hands of Christian Engelhardt and Mirko Bortolotti. Hasn't had a win since, so Bortolotti is champing at the bit.
It's definitely good to be back here in Misano. It's always special to be here with the Blancpain GT Series. I've scored my first ever Blancpain GT Series podium on this track back in 2015. But the last win is already 10 years back in Italian Formula 3 in 2008. So it's time to go for a big trophy this weekend, and hopefully we can do it. Yeah, the relationship with Christian is quite good. I mean, we're working our third season together, second season as teammates on the same car. We've had a good journey together. We're sharing a lot of time, and yeah, we're doing both the best we can to get the 63 Lambo where it deserves and where it belongs. So we're looking forward to it and to get the maximum.
Attempto Racing's shift to Audi this year has already yielded a win for Kelvin van der Linde and Stijn Schothorst. They're looking for more.
We want to keep the momentum going, and the lineup is strong, the team is strong, the car is strong. I think also on this track the Audi will do well. So I'm confident we will do a good job anyway, and I'm confident in myself as well, even though I don't know the track. I'm certainly happy to be here, I'm enjoying it a lot. Driving a car that's suddenly 2 or 3 times the weight of a Formula car is a bit different. This takes some getting used to, but it's good, I like it.
It's 2 podium visits, but no wins as yet for Raffaele Marciello. Will that change at Misano?
It's a good track for us. Last year we had a good race here, so I expect, to have a good weekend. Audi is quite strong always, but we will fight and we will see where we are. We are quite experienced. We know the track from the past years. Every time you go in a track, it's almost like last year, so you know what you expect. You just have to push. Pay attention on the penalties, and yeah, hope to be a bit lucky, and we'll see.
Another ACA ASP Mercedes is entered for a pairing that are going really well in the Silver Cup standings this year. Jack Manchester and Nico Bastian have been right in the hunt at every round. We expect them to go for gold again this weekend as they seek glory.
At the beginning of the season, the target was just to get Jack into the racing series, but then we started with 5 podiums in the very 5 first races, so it was awesome. Now it's getting more and more competitive here in the Silver Cup. So now let's see here in Misano how we can start the second half of the season, because this will be very important for sure.
It's a beautiful, bright, sunny evening at the Misano World Circuit for the first of 2 races at the Adriatic coastline for the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup, and we've got a fantastic grid of cars in this early evening sunlight. Now look how tight it is at the top of the Sprint Cup points. Stuart Leonard in the 17 Audi, his teammate Fred Verbisch is down 7th because he missed one of the races, but 37 plays 35.5. Audi's featuring very well with Kelvin van der Linde and Stijn Schothorst in theirs in 2nd place. Alex Riberas and Chris Vermees, don't forget they're on the outside of the front row. They're 3rd in the championship, so this is a good chance for them. But right behind them, Marciello and Meadows in the championship and the same on the grid. So it is very tight indeed. Expect to see considerable change of position after this 1-hour race this evening. But Stuart Leonard, for now, in the number 17 Audi, leads the way, but he's starting slightly down the grid. In fact, a long way down the grid, sharing with Sheldon van der Linde this weekend in the 9th row. So don't expect a lot of points for our championship leader. So a big opportunity for all those ahead of him. So let's take another look at the grid. We've got Nico Jaman and Paul Alex Riberas alongside. Then Nico Bastian and Michael Meadows form row 2. Norbert Siedler, Ezekiel Perez Compact. Great mix of cars as we expect in the Blancpain races on the first few rows of the grid. And the second of the Lexus is started by Albert Costa behind Will Stevens, who I fancy would have a better race than he did last year when he was removed very early on as the race went into the dark. Christian Engelhardt will be starting from 9th on the grid, and Alex Fontana in the Jaguar. So carry on looking the way down the grid. Second half of the grid with a few runners who ought to be much further forward, and that's dint of the huge amount of rain we had, costing a lot of practice time last night. Tropical, torrential rain here, but now conditions have been absolutely perfect throughout today. We're looking at the penultimate row of the grid, Andrew Watson and Piti Bieron-Bhakti, Pro-Am class leader, and then the final row, the Audi of Neil Stevenard and Josh Cahill in his Bentley. So round turn 16, the final corner, the lights are green, and it's a very good start from the poleman Nico Jaman. So the chance of the number 1 Audi sticking its nose around the outside, as John pointed out before, it could break later, the Audi is on the outside line, but not sufficiently close to get its nose up on the inside into turn 2. So the first 3, 4, 5 cars very nicely through the first few corners. Have we contact behind? I think we had a car. I just want to have a look back. Looks like there's a Lamborghini that might have gone round in the background, trying to account for all of them. No, I can see 3 green Lamborghinis going, so clearly my eyesight has gone wrong, but very tidy up through the first few handful of turns. But fantastic start from our pole starter, Nico Jamin. He just reduced the danger, the likelihood of being passed. And we've got someone running very, very wide indeed, out of turn 6, through the kink at 7. They'll come into the view of our commentary box, and going backwards, Ezekiel Perez-Coppain. Going forwards is the orange-nosed Lamborghini, up in several places for Christian Engelhardt.
But also going back is the 88 Mercedes, the car Michael Meadows behind the wheel. That was one of the two cars that I felt really needed to do something to try and get itself further up the field. As they come through, this is the long sequence of turn 9, 10, then onto the back straight for the first time. 63 Lamborghini, Christian Engelhardt behind the wheel. He was one of the drivers making a manoeuvre out of turn 6.
Yeah, Meadows has lost one position. There's an Audi at the very back of the field that's lost ground on the grey Audis. I'll try and pick out which one that is. That's off the back of the train, and it really is a train. 21 cars, almost nose to tail, but the pole man has got 2 or 3 car lengths advantage. But look at the 63 Lamborghini jinking this way, going that way, up from 9th on the grid. Christian Engelhardt is pushing very hard for 5th place, and it looks like it's one of the Sansalot cars. No, that was second last. The car that's last is only just coming into the background, so it's been a problem for 2 of the Audis. No such problems for the number 1 Audi, but that's in second place. Didn't make a move on the pole starter. Very, very good start indeed from Nico Jamin. His lead a whisker under a second at the end of the opening lap.
Well, Nico Jamin did all that he needed to do to put that car into the lead, fastest second and third sector, so that's indicating where he picked up that virtual 1 second advantage over second place Alex Riberas. He was doing a lot of braking, basically coming up on the formation. That didn't do him any good as he got into turn 1. A squeeze on the 19 Lamborghini. The Lexus try and get up the inside, and that's not an easy place to do it. Out of turn 4, then into 5 and 6. So caution required. The Lexus in the lower speed corners, as you heard Christian Klien say, not quite as nimble as it was in the higher speed curves, where it was a lot more the aerodynamic of the car would have an influence.
Let's take a replay of the start. Nose in front very nicely. Christian Klien not able to challenge. Sorry, Alex Riberas not able to challenge, but that's the car I saw going wide, the 82. I said one of the Lamborghinis had gone wide, and that was the one that got pushed out. Loris Hazemans rejoined the pack right next to a number of his other rivals, but it was the 63 Lamborghini making the moves in the early sector of the race, and this is where you can see Michael Meadows being cut around. He fell from 4th back to 5th, and then suddenly a lot of pressure from behind as well, and this unfortunately was the number 25 Sansalot Racing Audi pulling over and out on the opening lap of the race after contact.
Bit of action at the back of the field, the BMW. Andrew Watson having to defend, going a little bit left, a little bit right, a little bit in the middle, a little bit wherever there's a bit of tarmac, to be honest.
Yeah, well, in fact, he's just gained a position. In fact, I think Piti Bhirombhakdi has dropped a couple of places. So Andrew Watson, running in the Silver Cup, has got his BMW. Don't forget, in the Endurance Cup, he had a fantastic race. He's driving the McLaren in the Endurance Cup, and really shot at Paul Ricard. So Piti Bhirombhakdi, the yellow and blue Ferrari, has lost ground, and certainly been promotion there for number 26 as well, moving forward the Audi.
Stop!
Oh, the leader's pulled to the side of the track and stopped. What was going on there? So, suddenly, under no pressure at all, had been leading by a handful of seconds and suddenly tumbled down the order. So, oh, dearie me, looking off from the side of the circuit, Denis Bulatov, we were looking at the ACA garage, we were thinking, what has happened to my car? That was the one that wasn't under pressure. That was the one that made such a brilliant start. So the new leader of the race is the number 1 Audi, Alex Riberas. Nico Bastian has moved up into second place, so Jack Manchester will be hopping from foot to foot in his garage as he looks on as well. But here is our new race leader, 1 on the door, 0-0, 1 on the windscreen. What happened to cause that 87 Mercedes to stop? So let's go down and hear from the co-driver, Denis Bulatov, of the car that retired from the lead.
Dennis, what happened?
Actually, no idea. The car just stopped on the straight line. We think it's a mechanical issue, but we don't know. I think we find out quite soon, but it's a sad thing because we were like first, and Nico was making a good gap, but I don't know, unfortunately.
Well, Dennis, as soon as you know, you're going to tell me, and I'm going to feed it back to the people.
Full course yellow procedure now. Due to a car stopped in the straight line, we will try to recover the car as soon as possible and restart.
So you heard there from the race director, full course yellow. That car has to be removed. It's parked on the halfway down the start-finish straight.
Green flag.
Under investigation now. The very quick restart. Very, very quick indeed. And Nico Bastian really read it very, very well. He's right on the tail of the race leader, Riberas. And tucking in behind is Norbert Siedler. Norbert swings out, trying to go around the outside is Bastian, but it looks like it's very well covered by Alex Riberas through turn 1. He's got it nice and tidy for turn 2. Be a tighter exit for the Mercedes. But it looks like it's been that is a drive of experience. But he's left the door wide open. He's braked too late. He's run wide. What was going on there? Was that a face full of sunshine?
I don't know whether it was simply he just didn't have the grip on the tyres. He was a very big full course yellow. But there was one thing clear, Nico Bastian was absolutely on it. He knew what he had to do once the track went green. And you could see as they came out of turn 16, he was already pushing hard, looking to try and get the lead into turn 1. Alex Ribero's just ran wide, coming out of the from turn 1, 2 into turn 3 complex. And that just an open door for the lead Mercedes now.
Now the Lexus will be making a push as well. We're riding on board with the number 14 Lexus down low. Gosh, now you can see what the sun is like when it shines in the drivers' faces. What a fantastic shot. That's sweeping through turn 9, and then they get clarity as they come out of turn 10 and accelerate. Some of them on the track or near the track, just going over the curves a little bit, kicking up the dust. So race leader now, Nico Bastian. Second place, I thought he'd done enough through turns 1 and 2, but sliding wide, Alex Ribero's lost it at turn 3. And certainly Nico Bastian needed no further asking.
They're coming down to these sequence of corners up the inside. Who is that? That's one of the...
That's Costa.
There was an Audi who just got past an Audi. We're getting blinded by the...
Totally.
So there's the Audi running very slowly, very wide. So that
Which Audi is it though?
That may
it's
be
not number 1, is it?
No, it's not.
No, it's number 2. Oh, it's Will Stevens. He's coming in. That's not a standard pit stop. So Vincent Vos, that was the car that was challenging in 5th place, looking very well, really getting onto the tail of Michael Meadows. So what you win with one hand, you seem to lose with another. So those behind, these 2 Lamborghinis and Albert Costa in the number 14 Lexus, all gone up in position. Now it's getting really, really close as Costa pushes Perez compact yet again.
Now what was that, a puncture possibly for Will Stevens? Because it looks like it's just going to be an in and out, so maybe.
Let's have a look at yet another attack by Albert Costa in the 14 Lexus, bouncing over the curbs and what we call beyond. Oh, having to straighten it up a bit. Tail wanted to go around on the Costa Lexus, but he hasn't backed off at all. So now riding on board with Michael Meadows. I sense in the last few laps he's starting to come back at Norbert Siedler. There's just under a second between them. So the 88 Mercedes starting to come a bit good, turning out of turn 10 to accelerate down the kink back straight. Turn 11, there's a little kink to the right, there's a further kink at turn 12, but you must say, looking at the gap between those two cars, it's exactly the same as they accelerate down through Curve Own there.
17 Stuart Leonard is in first of the cars to make the pit stop. Second and third place into the pit lane, 4th place, 5th place. So all of a sudden we get a tranche of cars all making their way down the pit lane.
There's the WRT car, the numbers rising on the windscreen, the positional, because other cars going past on the circuit not making their pit stops. It's in, it's out, it's in, it's driver change, it's out.
So the number 1 Audi comes to a standstill. It's the furthest team in the pit lane, so they trundle down at 80 kilometers per hour, and then they're able to get on it pretty quickly. So this is where the choreography of these pit stops, and particularly with the WRT team, which we know, but the 88 is rolling. Raffaele Marciello is rolling down the pit lane, and they gets ahead, maintains that position because the 63 Mirko Bortolotti Mercedes, as the number 1 Audi, gets rolling as well. But the 63 right on the tail of Mirko Bortolotti, the tail of Raffaele Marciello.
Yeah, he gained ground, but not position, so it was very, very tight indeed, but so close to doing so. Almost pushing it out of the pit lane. They have to wait to get to the white line before they can floor the throttle, still on the speed limiter. Curving exit from the pit lane, that's a very good reason. Almost a kink to add to the curve, and now you can hear the engines really getting going again. So Marciello, what can he do? Don't forget that car was in 4th place in the hands of Michael Meadows.
Just watching
but it's still just a risk for Bastian, but Bastian isn't prepared to. Getting very close out on the circuit. That I haven't seen so much of the SMP Racing.
Well, that's down for 14th and 15th position.
Mercedes, that's the one shared by Vladimir Atoev and should be now in the hands of Alexei Korniev. But again, for the drivers hopping in, they have to get used to the sun shining very low in their faces. The other drivers have become accustomed to it through the first half of the race, past the halfway point.
There's the race leader now getting in with just under 55 seconds. So it was a good call in the end. But we will now see what happens when Jack Manchester jumps in, the much taller driver who actually uses pretty much the seat position of Nico Bastian, whereas a tall driver would normally have the seat, or the short driver would have a seat insert, which he would take out, and the tall driver would then get into the seat without the insert and hopefully manage to do what he can.
Well, this is a massive moment for Jack Manchester. He's had 11th, the 10th and the 15th, but here he is potentially en route to his maiden win. A lot of weight on his shoulders, 25 minutes remaining, and he's being chased by Christopher Mies in the number 1 Audi, the car coming close to his tail. But don't forget, before the pit stops, the gap was 3.4 seconds. Nico Bastian had a handful of laps after that. Keep under the speed limit, Jack Manchester. When you're new to a championship, new to a category of racing, it's very easy to make a slip up. Christopher Mies sweeping through turn 15. It is the car in second place. You'll see in the background of the shot, Christopher Mies coming onto the start-finish straight as Jack Manchester seems to be walking, rolling out of pit exit, but he'll come out at the entrance to turn 3, whereas the number 1 Audi is at the entrance of turn 1.
Yes, but the difference is that Christopher Mies has been out for a number of laps. He's got the momentum, there's a field. Where is the Mercedes? Still there now. So it has in effect gone from the lead into what I would consider to be third place, and Mirko Bortolotti is not going to be a million miles. There he comes into view now in the Lamborghini. So Jack Manchester has now got to adapt to different lighting conditions to any that he probably, well, what we had on Friday night was probably overcast and dark. We didn't have this bright sunshine, so he's happy to make that adjustment. Vincent Valls, Thierry Tassin working out what's going to happen once these pit stops have been played through.
Well, you can see how Bortolotti fancies that third place. It's still in the hands of Jack Manchester, only just getting into his stride here. We saw that little mistake last time around at turn 15. He's got to keep it super clean. Look at the body language of Bortolotti at the Lamborghini.
Yeah, I mean, again, Mirko Bortolotti knows full well where the car has got its strengths, and he knows that he might, if he can stay close to the tail of the Mercedes, force the Mercedes to take the inside line. He's going for the long way around, but I don't think he's going to have enough pace to get ahead. So now advantage back to Jack Manchester. Slow the Lamborghini down. He can't pass you here, but watch here on the exit of turn 3. That's where Mirko Bortolotti might try and make a move. He's going to make the undercut, slide up the inside. No. Still pit stop for car 19. Under investigation. Meanwhile, Mirko Bortolotti giving Jack Manchester the working out of his career, I would imagine.
Certainly is. To be going now, no further action. No sooner had we announced it than they decided all was okay. There was no misdemeanor for the 19 Lamborghini. See it in the background of the shot, but the Lamborghini we're looking at now is 63 up ahead. He's got to surely make him track. Trying to go around the outside of turn 8. Doesn't quite work at the start of turn 8, but it does by the time they get up to turn 9. It really was a question of when, not if, unfortunately for Jack Manchester. But if he can hang in, he'll have a masterclass as he looks at Mirko Bortolotti around the Misano World Circuit.
After investigation, the pit stop of car 63 is not an unsafe release, so no penalty.
Okay, we've just heard clarification from race director. No penalty. It was not judged an unsafe release for 63. So happiness at that. Happiness at the fact that the Lamborghinis are fighting so hard. Caldarelli has got past Stefan Ortelli. So it's been, the story of this race has been Mercedes at the front, but just fantastic battling between the Lexuses and the Lamborghinis. And the advantage is swinging the way of the Lamborghini crews, not just because they've been cleared of any pit stop irregularities, but they're finding their pace out on the circuit. Jack Manchester now coming under pressure from Caldarelli. I do feel this is going to be the next overtaking manoeuvre. I think we'll see the 19 Lamborghini, as you can see, been taking seconds off Manchester. No disrespect to Manchester, he's learning his craft at this level, but Caldarelli been doing it for many, many years. Yeah, and textbook performance.
Yeah, I mean, all through turn 3, you could see that Jack Manchester was stepping aside. He's not involved in these battles. These are pro battles going on. This is the lead car in his category.
Yeah, the lead car in the Silver Cup class.
So it just, I mean, let these pro cars go. You're fighting for your own championship within this race. Whether you finish first, second, third, or fourth, it's points in your own particular category that is important.
Now, very, very tidy pit stop. This is a masterclass. John, you talked of choreography. Alex Riberas hopping out, Christopher Mies hopping in, but look at the way that WRT team works on its pit stops. They don't do this without practicing, you know.
Lamborghini 82. Well, that was that's disappointment.
Yeah, well, that was the least well-placed car of the Lamborghini trio, and unfortunately, Hazelman's got it up to 8th place. Now he's got it going again, but that's just limp-in mode, I'm afraid. So hopefully that will stay to the side of the circuit. So very unlucky indeed. Loris Hazelman. In fact, that was Franck Pereira at the wheel. They hadn't flipped it over. Several of the cars have been warned for wrong driver ID on the timing screen.
Just watching the amount of racetrack on the exit of turn 8 that Christopher Mies is using in the Audi, and how much less of the racetrack the 88 Mercedes Raffaele Marciello is having to use. And it is the back of the Audi that I think Christopher Mies is having to control, because that will be his limitation. That will restrict him from being able to push maybe that little bit harder, to give him that little bit of comfort zone as we look at the 82 Lamborghini limping its way down the back straight.
Something I want to throw into the mix as we look at this lead battle. We can see it's very tight. It's 0.685 of a second, so it is continuing to come down, but then with the superior handling at this stage in the race. And there's Michael Meadows. Oh, it's dreadful when you're the driver who can do no more. You're the driver who's out of the car. Jack Manchester hanging on to lead the Silver Cup class into the final 3 minutes of the race is Michael Grenier. Has he got one more shot in his cabinet? He's gained about 15 seconds in the course of this second stint on Jack Manchester. Jack let the front runners through. He wasn't going for pro honours, he's going for the Silver Cup honours if he possibly can. The special class for the younger drivers. He's doing a very good job so far, but he's got to weather another 2 and a bit minutes. Sun in his face, a circuit he's never appeared on before. A lot to learn, and he seems to be doing a very good job, but he can see there is no gap between them now. 2 and a bit minutes remaining, and Mikael Grenier trying to sweep around the outside into turn 1. Has he managed to do it? Yes, he's not through turn 1, but into turn 2. If he keeps his nose, there will be contact. Oh, I think there possibly was a tiny bit, but Jack Manchester fighting back because turn 3 goes to the right, and he was on that part of the circuit. But what we've seen many times, the driver will dive up the inside into turn 4, top of the slope, and then try to dive and make it work. It hasn't worked this time. He'll have at least 1 more opportunity, maybe 2. So he's going to keep on keeping on. See if Emil Frey Racing will be smiling for the Jaguar as well as for their Lexuses in this race. Trying to make Manchester not know where he's coming from, and very bold dive up the inside, but surely too late on the brakes into turn 8. Oh yes, he was. That wasn't sun in the eyes. That was opportunities knocked, and I think that's given a big enough lead now for Jack Manchester to protect it for the rest of the race. It looked for a fleeting moment as though, he'd blown the Silver Cup honours in the closing laps, but no, he hadn't. He was wise. He did his braking, whereas Mikael Grenier in the Jaguar just got that little bit too excited. Well, the clock has nearly ticked to the top of the hour. 1 hour completed right now, and this is the final lap. They will complete the race on this lap, and it's Christopher Mies building on the work by Alex Riberas, who started and through turn 15 and 16. 16 is the final corner, out over the curbs. There's nothing that Raffaele Marciello can do. And victory goes to the #1 Audi, so delight in the WRT camp. Vincent Vos, Patrick Tambay, another one for their many, many wins. Huge cabinet waiting for the 3rd place car coming through the final corner. Here it is, 63, Mirko Bortolotti. Christian Engelhardt started the race. Mirko Bortolotti rose up the order, and there should be a Lamborghini not so far behind. Yes, there is the 19 car with Andrea Cordarelli. He worked his way up through a few positions, and the Silver Cup honours, it does look as though it's just going to go to the car that's going to be finished in 6th place. Jack Manchester, final sequence of corners. He's still got that 90 Mercedes in ahead of the 54 Jaguar. Surely not a challenge into turn 16, the final corner. Keep it neat, keep it tidy, not too much over the curb. So a first Silver Cup victory for Jack Manchester, building on the work of Nico Bastian. Wait, breathe, 2-3, and applause there from Nico. Great stint leading the race overall. Checkered flag waving for the finishers, and still they come in pairs, 2s and 3s. But it was victory for Christopher Mies and Alex Riberas. John Watson's quickly down, and he's joined the race winner, Christopher Mies, the #1 Audi.
Christopher, how satisfying was your stint then?
It was hard. It was really hard, with the pressure from Marcello. He's a really good guy who actually should be in Formula 1. But I think Brampoor can be lucky that this guy is here in this championship. It was hard, it looked easy, but it wasn't. I can tell, the pressure from behind to not do any mistake is pretty hard. Alex did a good job. The pit stop was fantastic. We lost a bit of time because Alex forgot to plug this belt in, so I had to do it myself. So we lost probably 2-3 seconds there. But anyway, we came out P1, and this is all what matters.
Well, in spite of all that, your pit stop is still 2 seconds quicker than the 88 Mercedes. But it looked like you were really, I thought you were struggling for rear end grip because the Mercedes was all over you, but didn't have enough to pass.
Well, the car was really good in the beginning, and then it dropped like after lap 5-6, like had a lot of slide in the rear. It was hard to manage, but then we just have a plan for that, so we took the plan and managed the gap.
Really good job, well done.
Thank you.
But there's the result, 0.6 of a second clear. The #1 Audi just beating that 88 challenger from the ASP Mercedes camp. Raffaele Marciello chasing Christopher Mies to the flag, and Mirko Bortolotti building on the work of Christian Engelhardt some way back, 16 seconds further back, but importantly ahead of the sister car with Andrea Cordarelli. Stefan Ortelli and Norbert Siedler showed very well in the 114 Lexus, having to make do with 5th place, but they're really getting in the mix. And Jack Manchester and Nico Bastian winning the Silver Cup class, but by only a fraction of a second from Mikael Grenier in the Emil Frey Racing Jaguar that had been started by Alex Fontana. Great run for the 17 Audi, up from the 9th row to 8th overall. Sheldon van der Linde bringing it home, not so far behind those battling Silver Cup cars. What a great race it was here. We've got another one tomorrow. It's going to be enjoyed by me, Bruce Jones, and John Watson. Do watch. The sun is shining for a second day running at the Misano World Circuit. Race 2 of round 3 of the Blancpain GT Sprint Series. And if we have half as much action as we had yesterday, we'll have a fantastic race.
Bruce, you've got 2, what I would call proper racers on the front row of the grid. And it'll really be who reacts quickest to the lights going out as we look at the front row of the grid right now.
Yeah, so it's Raffaele Marciello on pole and Frank Pereira alongside. Then look at the calibre on row 2. Christopher Mies and Mirko Bortolotti. It's an absolute tribute to this Sprint Cup Championship of the calibre of the drivers there. Kelvin van der Linde on the up, Dries van Tor on the up, and then you go to the next row. Sheldon van der Linde, Christopher Haase. These are absolute quality drivers. So the first sequence of corners, these drivers want to gain positions, but they know a little bent wing here or there could really affect their chances. So the pole man, 88, Raffaele Marciello, lines it up around the outside. Look at the lights of the starting gantry. Very early flick. That's exactly what we wanted. Who's going to get the better start? And up behind we've got Kelvin van der Linde on the grass. He's putting in a fantastic charge. There's Christopher Mies diving up to the inside. Marciello, he wasn't going to be passed into the first turn. What's happening behind the first 2 rows running exactly as they qualified on the grid. Marciello just in front of Frank Pereira, who's being pushed wide. Christopher Mies trying to move up into second place in the Audi. Should be in the right position to do that up into turn 4. So the first positional change is for second place. A little bit of bodywork banging between a couple of the Mercedes further back. The SMP car clattering with the 87, the car that was leading yesterday's race. We'll get back to that in a moment. Everybody cleanly away, almost in grid position, but Christopher Mies has put his intent out there for all to see.
Yeah, that was a bold move. He had to do it very quickly. He knew if he didn't get past the 82 Lamborghini on the opening lap, he wouldn't make it work. Now we've got the 63 following the 82. There's 2 Lamborghinis running in 3rd and 4th place. Further on the field, the 19 Lamborghini. Likewise, much improved performance across the board from these 3 Lamborghinis.
Very, very tidy. Sheldon van der Linde trying to make up places. The number 17 Audi that he shares with Stuart Leonard, but a really, really tidy start there by Raffaele Marciello. Did exactly what he had to do. Slightly compromised start for Frank Pereira because he had Christopher Mies trying to muscle into second place. That positional change did happen at turn 4. Now bodywork damage. That's the 19
puncture,
car.
I think left rear is.
That's Caldarelli's had a tap, and I'm afraid that will effectively, in a championship as tight and as competitive as that is race over for that one. Yes, they'll rejoin, but look how tight it is at the front. They'll never regain that lost ground. Oh, and a big spin from Aaron Taylor-Smith in the Bentley. He's gone around coming out of turn 6 to wave yellow flags, and he's clouted the walls. I thought he might have just missed that. It's gone past our commentary box completely sideways. Unfortunate. That, I'm sure, will bring out the safety car. So just remember, 1.2 seconds, a stonking first lap from Raffaele Marciello. A really, really brilliant start, but that car is sitting on the start-finish straight, and there'll be a fair degree of debris as well. A bit of time for the marshals to get over if they can find a gap in the wall to clear it.
Let's look again and see. Oh, they just ran wide. A heavy, heavy impact on that left rear quarter of the Bentley. You can see the entire bodywork is distorted.
Let's run down the order. Raffaele Marciello leading from Christopher Mies' Audi. Then from Pereira and Mirko Bortolotti, 3rd and 4th in their Lamborghinis. And then comes this run of 5 Audis. Van der Linde, we've got 2 of them, of course, 66 car driven by Kelvin and Sheldon in the number 2. And then Christopher Haase, sorry, Sheldon van der Linde is down in 8th place, and then Marcus Finkelhock, and then Mikael Grenier. Now let's have a little look at this replay with Christopher Mies. I mean, this is the start of the race. He was almost into second place, but not quite.
Well, he's almost into the lead as well, but they had to back out of it because going into turn 1, the Mercedes did have the advantage, being slightly further ahead. That allowed Frank Pereira to nip in behind the Mercedes, but at this point, Christopher Mies, and he was really, I mean, close to being off the track on the inside of turn 3, but a bit of further banging and up the 2 of the ASP Mercedes midfield. So going defensive to stop Kelvin van der Linde to try and prevent the number 2 Audi getting through. Dries van Tor going one way on the entry to turn 8, then looking for the overcut, undercut, any cut he can get. And right now the 3rd place Lamborghini, Frank Pereira, right, well, 0.6 of a second behind the 2nd place Audi, which is dropping away almost 2 seconds now behind the lead Mercedes. This is a battle for 2nd place. Raffaele Marciello is just, he's gone.
Absolutely, he's gone, but certainly Frank Pereira's got his tail up now as he's having a chase, just changing position, but the wrong way for Dries van Tor. He wanted to be overtaking. He's now lost that strange, the 6th place. That was strange. He was shaping up to try and pass Kelvin van der Linde, and Christopher Haase must have spotted a weakness, and he's gone for it. And then in behind, 17, the 2nd of the van der Lindes, that's Sheldon trying to get in close, and the one with the tattered front end, 26, Marcus Finkelhock. You can see when you see the front of the car, the bonnet has taken a little bit of damage. That is flapping around, but he's closing in all over again. Track conditions much warmer today. Yesterday we were racing in the evening. Now number 17 being pushed very, very hard indeed. That's Sheldon van der Linde and Marcus Finkelhock. Well, Marcus knows everything you could possibly know about an Audi R8 LMS.
Lamborghini 63.
Suddenly pulled off. What is it? It's
boom. Look at that.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Oh, it's a left rear puncture. It's a left rear puncture.
That was number 4, fourth place for number 63, looking for more points. We just talked before the race about them coming back on strong on song. So Mirko Bortolotti, he's got a wheel, but not really got a tyre on that corner. We've got a Lexus going slowly. It's number 14, so really, really bad luck indeed for Christian Klein, the Austrian racer. But look at this, the first 3, they were 1.5 seconds apart from start-finish line. They're less than a second, I would suggest now, from Pereira is closing. And keeping a watching brief is the second of the Lamborghini. He's a lap down, a bit of bodywork or something. Front left corner of the 88, the race leader, the Mercedes, something has gone flapping out of that front wheel arch. There's a bit of loose bodywork there.
It's like part of the inner guard on the front of the car. He went very, very wide on the edge of the 15.